Hello again, everybody. Terry McQuiston here from Jensen Dental. And today we're going to be talking about MiYO again. I hope everyone's safe and social distancing like we're all supposed to be doing. And so today's topic, in case you're just joining us, welcome to the broadcast. We're going to be talking about MiYO, using the MiYO color to raise value and lower chroma. So what exactly does that mean? Well, raising value, lowering chroma. Okay, so let's say that you got something out of the sintering room and it was supposed to be an A3, or let's say it's supposed to be an A2, and it came out looking more like an A3. So you want to get it out today. You don't have time to quickly rush it out because you got stuff behind it being pushed through. It's assuming it's a different time than the one we're in right now, but you're busy and you need to make it lighter. Well, what we can do is we can use two of the new components of the MiYO kit, and that is the Lumen and the Lumen Plus. These two materials right here can lighten up, in other words, raise value, make it brighter, but they do it without opacity. We first came out with the Lumen, and the Lumen's a very, very translucent color. Think of it like a glass of water with a teaspoon of milk that's been stirred in very, very well. And that's good for easily raising the value, and it'll lighten a shade, say, from an A3 to an A2.5 very, very easily. You can take an A3 down to an A2 or a B3 down to a B2 or a C3 to a C2, things like that, but it'll take a little bit more experience. And because it took more experience, we said that's too hard. So about several months later, we came out with the Lumen Plus. The Lumen Plus is about 40 to 50% whiter, but it's still not white. If we think of the white that we have in the snow, snow is one of our colors. This is snow right here, and snow is even whiter than this label. Snow is whiter than most of the fixtures in your bathroom. So snow is very, very white, but it's also very, very opacious. The nice thing about these Lumen and Lumen Plus materials that we have here is they're very translucent. So let's take a look at what we can do with these things. And the easiest thing for you to do is to take a shade guide. So if I take like an A2 and I take like an A3, and I make them real small like this, then I can tell you I can do anything. So let's make it look, a little bit more realistic for us. So here's an A3 and an A2. And these are the shade tabs that I used to use in my lab. So I cut the necks off of them because if I gave them to my doctors and they had the necks on them, the doctors would tend to pick the shade of the neck. So we're going to take this A3 and we're going to make it down to an A2. Now, how do we know we can do this? Because if you mix your MiYO up on a regular basis, again, reviewing what I've said in previous iterations of the Facebook Live, is that you need to mix it up about once a day. How much of a mix? Just enough to stir it up and make it homogeneous, about 5 or 6 seconds. Nothing great. About the same time you'd take and scratch yourself if you had an itch. About that amount of time. Not much at all. Okay, so what we're going to do is I already have some dispensed out here, and I'll back it up so you can see. But I have my Lumen Plus here, and I have my Lumen here. And as you saw me do in a previous broadcast of Facebook Live, I take these and I mixed them up, but I also put some down here, and I mixed it with a little bit of the glaze liquid, so I just kind of patted it in there until it got the consistency where it would come off my brush easily. And I did the same thing. So Lumen Plus is here and Lumen is here. So I'm going to show you what you can realistically get away with. So when you see me go off camera, I'm reaching down to this pile, or I'm taking and I'm cleaning my brush in water, wiping it on a tissue to get it dry, getting a little bit of glaze liquid in it, patting some of it out, and then picking some up. So just so you know exactly what we're doing, no hocus pocus. This is going to show you what you can get away with on a routine basis. Okay, so here we go. So let's take this A3 and we'll take the A2. So I want to get to I got 2 hands and 3 things. We want to get to this A2 with this A3. So what I'm going to do first is just what I showed you the other day. I'll get a little glazed paste on my brush, and I'll go over the restoration because this will allow me to float these colors on here very easily. So let me do this so you can see it. Okay, that's just to make it slick so it'll slide, and nothing up my sleeve. No magic here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the lumen, and I'm going to paint it around the cervical like I did the other day. And so trying to keep it in your field of view and in focus. You see, I'm not even bending my brush. I'm just letting sticky stick to sticky. Okay. Now I'll clean my brush. I'm going to get a smaller brush, get a little glaze liquid in it, and now I want to pull this color down. Now, all I'm going to do is touch the color and lightly pull it like you're pulling sheets up on a bed. You see, I'm just pulling it down. And there's no magic here, except for the fact that the stuff works. Heck, anymore in 2020, if something works the way it's designed, we feel good just about that, don't we? Okay, so all I did was take about 20 seconds and pull that up. So let me bring my A2 back into focus here. Bend it so it mimics that. And we can see that we've lightened it considerably. If I want to bring it down a little bit more, again, I can get a little bit of liquid in my brush and pull this further down. So, A3 to A2. So let's take, and now I'm going to use the universal eraser, which is a little tissue paper, and wipe it off, just to show you that there was nothing done here. And we see we have an A3 and A2. So let's take a B3 and a B2, just to show you that there's no hocus pocus here. Okay, so we got a B3 and a B2. Again, just so that the material will slide and so sticky sticks to sticky. And we're going to have a new one on Tuesday on how to float colors on colors, and it'll show this in more detail about why I use the one color or the glaze first, so that I can do these really unique effects and have it come out almost like it's a dream because it works so easy. I mean, I wouldn't be excited about this material, but darn it, it works. Okay, so now we got B3. Let's try the same thing we did before, but this time we're going to use the Lumen Plus. And this will be even easier to use because the Lumen Plus is about 50% more white while still retaining the translucency. Remember, the MiYO color, 80% ceramic and about 20% pigment, where stains are 80% pigment, about 20% ceramic. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of the Lumen Plus. You see it here on my brush. And all I'm going to do is flip the brush around so that the color touches the restoration. You won't see my brush bend at all because I'm letting sticky just drool right over on sticky. I mean, no hocus pocus. This is life, folks. Couldn't be any easier. I don't want to portray it as anything it's not. So now I'll start pulling it down. But you see, I'm not really going into the paste glaze layer. I'm taking and just grabbing the color on the surface. If I don't watch out, I'm going to make this a V1. So if I want very, very subtle, faint effects, I'll go to a smaller brush and use the pulling factor with a smaller brush. So this is the MiYO 1 brush, which is like a 5-0. And again, you see the brush is not bending. All I'm doing is touching the very surface of the color and pulling it down, similar to like if you were pulling sheets on a bed. You don't want to push through the paste glaze. You want to just grab the color on top and pull it down. So you've been watching the whole time. Can you see how it's making the color much more subdued? And we didn't lower the value because usually when you put one color on top of another color, you lower the value and you increase the opacity. But in this one, we haven't done that. But the trick is not to push through the paste glaze layer. So I can move this around. Take a look at my B2. And I'm actually getting it a little bit too white, but this just gives you an idea what you can do. Due to our lack of time, I'm not going to really spend great amounts of time to get this totally perfect, but I think you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to show you. Again, if I see too much chroma, I can lower it, floating on a little bit more material. Now, because of the surface tension that's been developed in this material, this will not drag or droop or sag. And that's another reason I put the first layer of paste glaze on there, is to hold everything in place. So, very, very close. I think you'll agree, if this came out of your room and it was a shade dark, you wouldn't have lost the boat. You're still able to do this. Now, let me show you something that maybe isn't totally on topic, but I think it's interesting because it goes along the same thing. I made my enamel mix, and my enamel mix is predominantly lumen. Okay, here's a case we did, and it was too dark. Somebody put the wrong shading liquid on it, and it got way too dark. And I'm brushing off with a toothbrush off camera. Okay, so we can see that I've added some material on number 9 right here. But number 8 is where it started out. So if you have something like number 8 right there and it's too dark and it got too gray because someone used something wrong, they were going to throw this away. And I said, no, give it to me. So my incisal mix is 5 parts lumen, 1 part linen, and about a 1/3 part snow. So if I get a little bit of my glazed liquid on this first, because again, this helps it slide the float color on color, which we're going to cover on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I put my layer of paste glaze on the surface. You can see it's nice and shiny. And now I'm going to get my incisal mix. So I'm going to move my tray around so you can see it. And it's out of focus because I have it set up for this so you can see this. But that says incisal mix right there. So what I've done is I've mixed up previously about 5 parts lumen, 1 part linen, and about a 1/3 of a part of snow, because snow's nuclear white. It's crazy white. And so I don't want to get it that crazy. So what I'm going to do is because I'm trying to make this an enamel color, I'm going to start, instead of the cervical going towards the incisal, I'm going to start at the incisal and go towards the cervical. So here I pick some of this up on my brush, and I'm going to try to do this so it's in focus for everybody. You see how I just glided on the incisal edge right there, and sticky wants to stick to sticky. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my smaller brush because I can pull it up gently. So here I've cleaned my number 1 MiYO brush, like a 5-0 regular sable, and just going and touching the very surface, I'll start pulling it up. So this is a translucent enamel mix. So if you have a monolithic, say D3 or B2 or whatever, and it doesn't have any incisal, as long as it's not in a wear area, you can make a mix like this and make your own enamel. So you can see how I'm fading it out as I drag it up towards the cervical, which means I'm going to have a predominance of the effect on the incisal edge. So can you see the translucency, but still maintaining the color? Let me see here. I'm going to raise my focal point here. There we go. So again, I'm going to rotate this so I can work on it since I'm left-handed. So I'm not trying to push through the paste glaze. I'm just trying to grab what's on the surface and gently stroke it towards the cervical region so I have a preponderance of the high value enamel look at the incisal edge, and it fades up as I go towards the cervical. And hopefully you can see with a material that I've fabricated from nothing more than just what's in this kit, I'm able to get a material that will allow me to get a nice, now I can do it from the tip here as long as I don't go too deep. But I'm able to get an enamel effect and make what turned out to be more like a C3 shade to be a much lighter shade. And what you do is you just do it until it looks right, because remember we said this is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So we can make it as light as we want to make it and then fire it, and it'll end up looking like a translucent shade, like you have layered ceramic, and it's a win-win. Again, this is Terry with Jensen, and I want to thank you for your time. Make sure you follow Jensen Dental on Facebook and Instagram so you can be updated every time we go live. You can also visit jensendental.com/MiYO to learn more about MiYO. Thanks for watching today, and please join me on Tuesday, April 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live demonstration on using MiYO liquid ceramic to float color on top of what color, so you can create every detail in one firing, one application, one firing. Please click the follow button to get notifications for future MiYO education, tips, and tricks. This is Terry. Feel free to contact me if you need to for any kind of help. We're here for you. Stay safe, social distance, wash your hands, don't touch your face. I want you to be around next time. I want you to be there for your family. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.